Let's dive in these Microsoft numbers here, Rishi. Maybe there was some initial disappointment here in the after hours. Again, we don't have guidance yet. That'll come on the call. The Azure business, Rishi, so 31% revenue gain. That was slower than last quarter's pace. That did just miss at least what your colleagues on the street were looking for. But walk us through the quarter, Rishi.
Yeah, and always a pleasure to be with you, Josh. Appreciate you having me on. Look, I think this was overall a pretty inline quarter with what we expected. Azure was maybe a tiny bit light on a constant currency basis relative to the street and at the low end of where they guided. But at the same time, you also have really strong commercial bookings. You saw the commentary from them that they had really strong OpenAI bookings. And then the AI number was, I think, kind of very, very impressive. I mean, right before this, you were talking about who's actually monetizing AI. Microsoft talked about $13 billion in AI ARR in the quarter, and they had soft guided to $10 billion. So they're ahead of their own expectations, ahead of where the rest of us are. Look, I mean, we don't have the guide yet, and I think that's what the stock action really hinges on, is what do Satya and Amy say in terms of Azure acceleration in the back half of the year. Can they reiterate that re-acceleration? Remember, that's off the first half of the year, not just off Q2. If they can, and they can talk about first-party capacity coming online, meeting AI demand, I think the stock can still be fine coming out of this.
Rishi, I get that $13 billion is a lot of money, but that's the annual run rate, and they just made almost $70 billion this quarter alone. So, it's not a big piece yet, right? Or are there ways that they're monetizing it not directly that are somehow benefiting the business in your view?
I think that is absolutely happening, but remember, we're in such early stages when it comes to AI. If we kind of rewind the clock back and thought about the initial build out of cloud, including Azure, thinking about the initial build out of the internet, you have to spend and invest, and there has to be a discovery of use cases, especially when you're playing from a leadership position like Microsoft is. But having said that, Microsoft's leadership position in AI absolutely influences other businesses in their portfolio. We've talked about this AI halo effect. And so as companies come to Microsoft because of their AI, they come for other parts of the portfolio as well. And Microsoft is able to successfully sell things like Microsoft Fabric, Cosmos DB, even the Office suite. And I think that AI helps indirectly in other places as well.
Hi there. One question I have would be regarding AI, and I'm going to say it, Bing. Does it move the needle at all vis-a-vis Google? I actually, because my company uses Edge and therefore that's the search engine I end up using a lot. I do find it's actually gotten a little bit better. But can they dig into Google's lead in search thanks to some of the improvements in AI?
Look, I would agree with that. We think Bing and overall the Microsoft search ecosystem, whether we call it Bing or Copilot or whatever, we think that can lead to share gains for Microsoft, especially as the share shifts more to unstructured and semantic search rather than just straight keyword search, which is what we're all used to. One thing that I think is really underappreciated around Microsoft is the coup that was hiring of Mustafa Suleyman. By bringing Mustafa in, who was one of the co-founders of Google DeepMind, he really has strong consumer chops, and consumer has been an area where Microsoft has been relatively weakened for a while, but we're already starting to see what Mustafa is bringing in terms of refreshing the app, refreshing the search experience, refreshing even Edge. And absolutely, we think Microsoft can continue to be a share gainer in this space, especially now that Mustafa is at Microsoft.
Rishi, real quick before we let you go, is $80 billion too much?
It's a tough question to answer, right? Because when we debate TAM, or total addressable market of AI, we don't know what that number is, right? It could be 100 billion, it could be in the trillions of dollars, especially if you think about net new use cases and the technological unlock. My kind of answer to this is I trust Microsoft to be diligent with their spending. We've sat down with executives from Microsoft, and they've talked about ways that they're actually measuring ROI on that CapEx. And so this almost becomes look, they need to maintain that leadership position. It's really important to build that out, but we kind of have to trust that they're spending the right amount. And by the way, 80 billion is not where we think it's going to peak. We think fully burdened CapEx will continue to go up from here. But at the same time, and I know we didn't really talk about DeepSeek, as we get this greater advancement in infrastructure efficiency, as Gen AI workloads can be more capital efficient and drive down the cost curve. That's going to be great for AI revenue generation, and that's going to be great for capital efficiency.
Rishi, always great to see you. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.